let's start with an open-ended conversation and at least get this person talking and communicating with me and telling me ultimately what they want to get back to doing. It's like, because I think too often we think it's just about pain, right? Oh, I have shoulder pain. My doc told me to come see you. But it's like, look, you went and saw your doctor for a reason that was beyond just shoulder pain. It's like that shoulder pain is impacting your life in some capacity beyond just that.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Clinic Boss Show. So today we got Dr. Chris Beaver, owner of Be Ready PT and also founder of Virtual Refresh, and they help train and hire front desk sales, right? And what's interesting is that you have a very unique business model, right, where your receptionists or virtual assistants are actually PTs with clinical backgrounds, right? So did I get this right, Chris?
Yeah, exactly, man. No, it's been a fun journey and into all the things. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, man, for sure.
Yeah, and we are just talking earlier, like we have a common friend, which is Ben Baggy's out in California. He's running an amazing $1 million cash practice, and it sounds like you're kind of in his group as well, right, Chris? Or you're
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's how Ben and I know each other, and obviously how we got connected too, which is cool. And yeah, we own a cash-based physical therapy practice, and we've been working with Ben and their group, Clinical Marketer. They've been a good, valuable resource, and they're really changing the game in the cash world as well. So we've been lucky to hang out with them.
amazing. So yeah, I was just looking at your website. You guys have two clinics in Tennessee, right? One in Nashville. I love Nashville, by the way.
Great
Maybe
city.
tell me more about the practice. Like, how much staff do you have going there, and is it hybrid, or is it like cash, or is it a combination of like in network or and out of network?
Yeah, so we're fully cash. We've got four other providers. I don't treat too much anymore. Kind of dabble here and there with some clients that I treated from long ago, but less than 2 or 3 hours a week probably max. And then we've got several other treating providers at this point, all cash, all PT. Hope to maybe get into the multidiscipline world. That's probably the next step that we're looking to go. And yeah, we've got two locations here. We'll probably look to build a decent sized standalone space here in the next year or so as well, and just kind of keep elevating the PT profession. And yeah, we work with all sorts of folks, mostly active population,
Okay.
CrossFitters, folks who like to do triathlons, and we work with a couple of field sport guys as well. And so it's been a fun journey.
And was it a conscious decision to just go cash and not even go hybrid?
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, from the get-go, I kind of got turned on to a lot of other cash mentors in the space and just kind of consuming some of their content and, just work. I worked in a high volume clinic for about a year and just very quickly just realized, hey, this is not what I want to do with my career, and I don't want to see a lot of volume. I'd rather be a big quality guy as opposed to quantity. And so that's kind of why we went that route.
Wow. Well, and what are you charging in your cash practice right now?
Yeah, we're 225 kind of across the board. And then,
Holy smoke! That is
yeah, we're up there.
that's Ben's model.
Yeah, for sure, man. We're
You're
definitely
not even at the
similar.
175. You're like I wanted to start with like the 200s, right?
Yeah, we were sub 200 once upon a time when we first started, but
Yeah.
very quickly, or over the last, I guess, a year and a half, we kind of did a rate raise and got over 200. And
Okay.
honestly, the pushback we got was so little that I was like, dang, I wish I did it earlier.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah. I guess at that point it doesn't really matter, right? Whether it's 175 or 250, right, or 300.
Yeah, dude, if you're having the right conversations with people, it's like, dude, it's all one and the same.
Yeah, yeah. And what would you say, like, how many visits in a typical care plan that comes to your practice? Is it like six, like, or 10 or 12, or like, have you seen something at your practices?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, on average, we like to be in that kind of 8 to 10 range.
Okay.
Definitely for kind of plan of care. That's obviously not counting continuity and some other back end stuff. Early on, we had a really hard time with that. I mean, that was certainly something that even
Wow.
my own internal mindset was around. Hey, I'm trying to save my patient money. I'm trying to, I can see him one on
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
I
that
can shoot him
limited
a message
mindset.
afterwards. Like so that mindset was definitely a problem early on. And like when we first started, I mean, dude, it was probably 4 or 5 visits per plan of care, which you can imagine the churn and burn that we were having to go
Yeah.
through in order to acquire clients at that point.
And I want to put this in context because, like, so if they're coming, let's say on average eight and you're charging 225, your average care plan or value of a patient in a care plan is like approaching 1,800, $2,000, right?
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
most practices, kind of hover between the 500 to 1,000 mark, right?
Exactly, exactly. That's a big problem. Like, I mean, you're just going to constantly have to acquire a lot of clients at that lower price point, which is where we were early on, you know?
Wow, that's fascinating. And then how do you compensate your clinicians? Is it like more of a commission base, or is it just hourly, right?
Yeah, for sure. When they first start, we like to do a commissions base. It kind of protects us a little bit in the early
Right.
goings. I mean, because inevitably, if they get in and we're dishing them a lot of patients, and
Yeah.
maybe there's some mindset issues, or maybe we didn't do a good enough job shepherding them on the sales side of things.
Yeah.
We don't want to get crushed early on. So we'll start with kind of like a 90-day ramp up period, probably very similar to what Ben coaches. Let's ramp them up for 90 days. We'll pay them a commissions base at that point, and then on the back end of that, we oftentimes will look to switch somebody over to more traditional kind of salary once their caseload is
Salary
reached a
plus
point.
commission or just salary?
Yeah, honestly, we kind of have done both. We've
Okay.
done both with some folks. I like the straight salary, and for a lot of folks, but I've got some people who kind of move. We've got some people that are leaders in our company, and we'll give them a little bit of both.
And what's the starting percentage when someone starts?
Yeah, so usually you talking about salary, you're talking about like base pay at that point.
Well, commission,
Or
right?
commissions, yeah. Yeah, ideally it's like we'll like to pay them, some type of low base salary, something pretty light just to kind of give them a little bit of skin in the game. Call it,
Yeah.
$1,000, but then
Yeah.
usually I'm paying out about 30%, give or take, per session. I usually just cap it at a dollar amount. That way, if I do a rate raise or something, they're not immediately also getting a raise too.
I'm just going to do some experience share on the danger of this commission-based compensation that I've seen with a lot of practices. Like I see it start off at 30 and then over time it's creeping out to like 50, 60, and then I've seen it at 70%, and
Yikes.
so like and that has a dramatic impact on the P&Ls of a clinic, right?
Oh, it's going to drag it down big time.
Yes, and this is a trend that's happening like a lot in, I would say, like yeah, we're seeing this trend like a lot in certain types of provinces or states like in Canada, right, where compensation for these commission based, whether it's employees or contractors, are hovering like that 60% mark, 65%.
Oof,
And
that's wild.
it started off at 30, right? And so one caution I would recommend is, because this is like fertile ground right now. If you have a profitable business model, I would just like pay people salary and just like take the
Yeah,
risk,
absolutely.
right? Versus
Absolutely.
like elevate it to the point where you're giving out like yeah, 60-70%, and I
That's
see
crazy.
docs go through this same issue too, right? They start off with like a low commission and they ramp up to like 60-70%, and there's nothing left for the business owner anymore, right? Who wants to own a business that makes 5-10%? You're
You
just not
can't.
gonna do that, right?
You're not going to wake up in the morning for that.
Yeah, yeah. So
What do you?
that's one thing I talk to with a lot of cash based practices. Like I would rather just take the risk, pay someone well, assuming that your systems work and like you could get these
Yeah.
type of
What do you feel
marketing
like causing
revenue
some of that creep?
pays
Just
off
like
like way
long term, they
more.
just ask more and more for, hey, I want to raise, and they just progressively creep and add the hourly.
Yeah, yeah, give me. I want that for 5 points or 10 points. Like you could do the math very quickly,
Yep.
especially when if your care plans are 2 grand, right? And you're making 50% splits, right, or 40% splits, right? At a certain point, the money, like the mathematical, the calculations in the clinician's head would be like, oh my gosh, I actually don't want to go on salary or hourly. I want to stay at my 30-40%. And then every year is like, hey, tack another five, tack another five. And
Right.
if everyone in your community
Absolutely. Now
starts
you got
doing
this
that,
uprising.
then that ends up being the base now, right? Yeah. 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 Because we never had this. This never happened maybe I would say 10 years
Right.
ago. It was hourly. And then because the shortage got so bad, right, that people are trying to send on people to come, and then you just see like the scope and the creep go up over the years, and that's decimated the profitability of a lot of the clinic. That's why I like a lot of the compensation structure like in a lot of the states in the US where like they're paying them hourly and they pay them well, or maybe some practices don't pay them well. But there needs to be enough incentive for the business owner to keep on
Yeah.
owning and to investing in the training and the development and to grow the locations, right? Otherwise it's just run by a bunch of solopreneur entrepreneurs, right? Which is
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
challenging as well, but that's another story. Yeah, yeah. But I'm curious, like, so um, let's talk about that because one thing that fascinated me with like your business model and I guess some of the coaching or training that you do is you hire
Yeah, for sure.
clinicians
Yeah,
to
it's kind
handle
of
all your
honestly kind of
new
happened.
patient conversations,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Versus like
Yeah, it
an
happened by
admin, right?
accident,
So
honestly.
tell me about
And then
that.
we realized
What kind
very,
of
like, we
results
hired
did
our
you think
first
of that?
admin. This company started with just my wife doing admin stuff for my practice. And then ultimately some other kind of practices in our network just kind of started reaching out and like, hey, who's doing your admin stuff? And eventually just like outgrew my wife. And then it was like, well, we're going to have to like hire somebody. And I had a good buddy and from PT school, and his sister was also a PT. And it was like, she's like, hey, I don't really want to go back to the clinic. Like I've got, young kids at the house and kind of want that flexibility to be able to stay at home and kind of drop them off and pick them up without grinding. And, yeah, dude, it was just kind of crazy. We trained her on our systems and then suddenly we were like, hey, we're kind of on to this here. And, I was talking to Ben and Jordan both over at Clinical Marketer, and we kind of were just dialoguing about this of the possibility of what this could look like, where it's like, hey, if I can get somebody with a clinical background who understands especially the clinical dynamics and orthopedic dynamics, and then being able to pair that with a sales mindset, what kind of potential could that have, right? Because if you got somebody who's calling into the clinic, oftentimes
Mm.
sometimes you get these people who just want it. They want to ask what an eval looks like. They want to ask what dry needling is. And, if you got somebody who's really confused and not able to have conversations around that, obviously I don't want to get in the weeds with somebody about these things. But if I can pair that clinical background with a sales background, what kind of power could that have? And it's been crazy, man. It's been really, really cool to see somebody who has those two skill sets together, and then you plug it into a practice, and now we've got this just match made in heaven where they understand the flow of it. They understand patient care because they've got the personality for it. That's what they've done up to this time. And so now solid personality, sales skills, clinical background is this nice triad of, really solid phone conversations to convert more patients.
Oh yeah, and I think it's also a unique value prop too, right? They're not speaking just to some front desk who graduate from high
Yeah.
school or some medical office like degree or a
Yeah,
certificate. They're
exactly.
actually
And
talking
that's what's
to
been
like a
really fun
doctor
for
or
them,
talking
just
to a
to be able
physical
to
therapist, right?
have some of these high level conversations. They can explain what an evaluation looks like. And when we're talking to a patient, the last thing I want is them to have any uncertainty about what the next steps of their care looks like. And if they walk into, they go to schedule an eval, and if they've got that uncertainty, because we didn't do a good enough job explaining what the eval and follow up care looks like, one or two things starts happening, right? Then you got people who cancel or no show because they don't understand. They didn't think, that doubt overcame them. Or when they come into the clinic, now they're not completing a plan of care, right? Because we didn't pre-frame some of that information on the phone, or we didn't, calm down any of that uncertainty. We painted the journey, and they're just able to paint that journey just a little bit better than somebody who doesn't understand anything about the rehab world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, wow. Yeah, I think you said it bang on, and so, and what type of results are you seeing with your
Yeah, for sure. I
clinicians
mean,
doing
the big
versus
thing
a
we're,
typical practice
focusing
that
on is
relies
like,
on
hey,
a
let's
front
get
desk
patients in
admin?
the door. And so now I've got somebody who not only focuses on, they're not putting 100 fires out in the office, right? I'm trying to verify people. I'm trying to answer emails. You got somebody who's dedicated to just getting patients on the phone. And so what you start finding is that leaky bucket at the front desk where, you know, hey, I've got two leaky holes, right? I'm either not getting to people, especially if you're running paid traffic, or I'm not calling people back quick enough, or I'm not answering the phone quick enough. Or if I do actually get them on the phone, I'm not able to have appropriate conversations. And so it's like, especially in a cash practice, that's the lifeblood, right? If I can't talk to somebody on the phone and convert them, and they're not showing up to plans of care, now I've got a leaky bucket front end and back end. And so what I'm looking at, what is that phone call conversion? That's the big thing. So oftentimes most of the practices we're looking at 90+% conversion for people that they're talking to, right? So 10 people give you a call, right? Or reach out. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's that's obviously the
90%
caveat there.
qualified lead,
We're
right?
not
Am I
trying to
right?
kick anybody into the office. Yeah, so that's the big thing. And then honestly, I'll look at it from a lot of the practice owners'
Yeah.
historical data, and I usually try to improve that 10+% for various categories. One of which is, especially if they're running paid traffic. Hey, I got paid traffic. They
Yeah.
were only converting 20% of those people to
Yeah.
actual eval. Great. How can I get that to 30% now, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You gonna ask a question on that, or you just kind of?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say, like, what type. So, like, I think you kind of talked about it, but what type of conversion rates were you getting for like inbound versus outbound, right? So inbound being like inbound phone calls, and they're talking to someone. Outbound is like maybe like you ran some of these like Facebook ads or these paid ads where they fill up some type of web form. Like Ben has all these web forms, right? Fill up this web form and it requires like a callback, or also like let's put also maybe some of these in-network clinics where you get these cash referrals, right? Like what type of conversion
Yeah,
rates
for
are you
sure.
seeing
Yeah, I
by
mean,
having a
certainly inbound
clinician do
calls,
it
those are just going to be
versus like
warmer
front
leads,
desk?
right? Those are usually much easier to convert. I mean, every once in a while, if you've got somebody who they don't accept their insurance, those kind of things. I mean, dude, we're seeing really high just conversation continuity to care on the back end of that. I mean, it's different from clinic to clinic, region to region, but it's like, I mean, like I said, we've got really high qual.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's the
yeah,
range
I
would
mean
be like
it's
70 to
high
eighty
a high
percent
rate. Even
or
some of
of
the
like
cash
inbound
practices
phone
tend to
calls?
be
Yeah.
even higher just because they're really warm leads for them. I mean that tends to be in the 90+% range, but usually in that 80+% range for even
Right.
inbound for other clinics
Yeah.
qualified leads. Of course, right? We're not trying to.
Yeah. 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 I'm seeing that. I'm seeing
Yep.
across like, yeah, we have a company called Call Hero and we do like phone analytics and we measure conversion rates on that stuff. And I would agree.
Yeah.
Any like
Yeah,
clinics
outbound,
are
I tend to
crushing that
look
and
at
doing
that. The
80%
biggest thing with
referral.
outbound is like
What about outbound?
speed to lead. That's going to be the biggest thing, right? If I've got somebody opting in, how quickly am I getting to them? And oftentimes these clinics are running around like crazy. Kind of depends on the type of ads they're running, Google versus Facebook. Most of the Facebook accounts I'm looking at, like especially from Ben and them's group, I mean, dude, we're seeing 40-50% of opt-in to actual evaluation. So I mean, you get 10 people opt in, five of those are really high, really high. Obviously depends on region.
Wow, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of the
So,
highest
so these are
percentages I've
based on
seen.
cold ads, like
Yeah,
Facebook
exactly.
ads, right? Where they fill out like a web form,
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
fill out like
So
they're filling out
their
the
ads are
Facebook
absolutely killing
like
it. They're killing it
whatever
in
like
our
lead
practice
form.
as well. We were at 45% last month opt in to eval, which is great. Like it's incredible. I've seen some ad companies a little bit lower than that. I've seen some that are running a cheaper cost per lead, but they're running higher volume. I tend to see those in the
Yeah.
20 to 30% range. Depends on the game that practice is playing.
Yeah. And what's the offer on that? What's the offer on that thing? Is it like saying like book of like eval, like free eval? Is it like your, like $47 offer, or is it
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
or you trick them with some type of like lead magnet, like a
Yeah,
checklist or
yeah.
something, or whatever?
Discounted
Like
front end. Yeah,
what are you doing to
discounted
get that
front end
40%
offer.
eval
So
to
60,
authenticate
67. I've seen it
yourself?
$67. I've seen it 47. I've seen it
Yeah.
97. We're running 67 as the front end offer.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I like that. Geez, I love this conversation. Like you're a PT and you're thinking like
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
thinking
you
like a
have
PT, but you're
to, because at the
thinking
end of the day, this is
like a
all
salesperson,
metrics driven
right?
and results driven, right? And that's the big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And what cost per
Yeah, yeah.
eval are you getting
I
like
think we're
on this type of
paying
stuff
last
on a
month we
company
paid
like
like
this?
40-$45 cost per lead um on from Facebook. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Exactly.
So it's like $80, right? 80 bucks all in. Yeah.
No brainer. No
And
brainer.
80
Yeah.
bucks to
I mean,
get
we're
a
typically
1800
doing
plan of
six,
care,
six,
like
seven
that is a
X
crazy
back
ROI,
on
no?
ad
Right?
spend, which is like
It's a no-brainer, right?
great. I'll keep playing that game all day long.
But you're
You,
doing
you said
cash too.
only,
There's only so much
I
that
mean,
leads out there as well. We agree? Or you think it's
I
unlimited?
mean, yeah, there's
There's
certainly
only
a
so much like
finite
leads
amount, but
there
at the end of the day,
are
it's like I want
in your
these
account.
folks there. Nashville's great because we got a lot of people moving here, which is nice. But yeah, definitely for sure. you hit the nail on the head there. I agree with you.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Cool. What about, so you did work at
I did, yeah, for a year.
in-network clinic, it sounded like, right? Because you're seeing like 20 patients. Yeah.
All of it. Yeah,
And was it
all
depending
of it.
on fax
Just high
referrals from the
volume
docs and all that stuff? Like,
referral.
did they have a list where that's a, okay. Yeah. And are you working with clients right now where you have clinicians like doing the
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's
outbound
not something
fax
that we've done
referrals,
a
and
ton
what
of. Like
type
we
of conversion
started
rates are you seeing on
primarily
that?
with like cash practices, and very recently, probably over the last 3 or 4 months, we just started onboarding some of our
Okay.
first heavy insurance practices or hybrid practices. So I don't have a ton of data compiled just yet on
Yeah.
that, but the couple clinics that we've worked with, it's like, yeah, I've got somebody who's just hammering these folks
Yeah.
as opposed to, hey, I'm going to call them once and then forget about it, call them 3 days later. You know how these things go. You got one front desk wearing 17,000 hats, and
Yeah.
things like that get put on the back burner.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's my biggest
I don't know,
question.
man.
How do you
Something
get a
about COVID like
clinician who
accelerated
wants to
this
do
like
this?
desire to work from home for whatever reason. I think that's a big component of it. I think the other component is like
That's
you just
valid.
get
Yeah.
people who they just got hosed in the freaking clinic, man. They get tired of seeing 18 to 20 a day, and I think PT at the end of the day we've kind of eaten
Mm.
our own in some regard, especially some of these big high volume clinics where you get them in and you churn them, you burn them to the ground, and they're just over it. But at the end of the day, or I also have a lot of folks who,
Yeah.
they worked in a clinic for a while. They stepped out to take care of their kids and life and family. Their kids have now gone back to school, and they're like, "Hey, like I kind of
Okay.
have all this spare time, and like I heard you guys were doing this. Like, is this something that you're still doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's have a conversation, see if it's a fit." And so that's
Yeah.
honestly where we've lucked in. We've kind of become this
Wow. Wow. And is it mostly
a bit of
PTs or
all. So
PTAs or
PT,
OTs or
PTA,
like a bit
OT,
of
OTA.
all of
I've
it?
actually
Or
got a couple speech language pathologists too
yeah.
that do a really good job on the phone. I've had a couple massage therapists that I've also really, really
Okay.
liked. They've had a high
Yeah.
social IQ, and they fit the build. So
Yeah. 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 It sounds like, like it's not meant for everyone, but there's a lot of people
yep.
in the industry who are frustrated or they want remote work, right? Or they want maybe diversity
That's
of
exactly what it is. I mean, every
work
conversation I
outside of
have,
just
they're like,
treating
"Wow, I
patients.
was
Like
like,
it's a
didn't
good
think I
fit
could
for
use
them,
my
right?
degree. I thought I would just be like punching numbers, or I'd be stuck doing like case review and could no longer communicate with people." But they kind of get that fulfillment because they talk to patients,
Yeah.
they're in pain, they get them scheduled, and then they do a weekly staff meeting with their direct report or clinic owner, and they're like, "Oh yeah, dude, like this person came in, they bought a package, and they're freaking crushing it now." And so now they get that satisfaction indirectly without having to lay their hands on patients.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is fascinating. So now, like, this is my operational head now.
Yeah.
So how does, like, let's just say let's just say I have a hybrid clinic, okay? Hybrid clinic. So I do a bit of out network, and let's just say, yeah, do a bit out network. I also do cash, and um, how does it actually work when I have front desk and I also have clinicians like with like the inbound calls and also outbound? Like, what does that look like? Because your
Correct.
team
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's
is
going to,
remote, right? So you're not
the
in the
classic answer.
practice,
It
right?
depends. Oftentimes, I like to just reroute a lot of the new patient phone calls directly to the remote staff, right? It's like, get a phone tree set up. Hey, I'm a new person, or, click one for
Right.
I'm a new patient, want to schedule an eval. And then now they're routed directly over to our team to be able to completely handle that,
Okay.
right? And we pair kind of one to one, so it's not like I have a call center or something like that. It's what that kind of is what
Yeah.
allows it to be very specific to the practice.
And that just goes to that
Yeah,
clinician's
exactly,
cell
right.
phone,
Or
and they
they'll,
just
if it's
like
a VoIP
answer
line
and
or
then
something
switch
like
them
that,
to
they'll
those as we
redirect
go.
that way. It's great.
I love how low tech this is, like it's not some big like call center
Yeah,
operation with like, because I bring this because we actually run that operation, right, But I love how like, you got
yeah.
clinicians doing it and they're almost handling
Yeah, it makes
that
it
one call,
simpler too, right? It's like
like if they
I
want to
wanted that
book.
quality,
So,
especially with the cash practices or even the hybrid practices who do very specific stuff. It's like I just want or a pelvic health clinic, for
yeah.
example. Like, could you imagine a call center trying to handle a pelvic health call? It's like it just needs to be really
Yeah.
high quality touch point, and being able to have conversations with them. But yeah, basically redirect it over to them, and then just let them crush the outbound and the inbound. Like let their job be sales, and yeah, just it friggin' works. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, so the inbound looks like you're probably I don't know who measures. It sounds like you or like the owner measures like what is your answer rates, what is your booking rates, right? And then for the outbound, it sounds like it's your I think your term speed to lead, how quickly you're calling them and what those like
Yeah,
type of
yeah,
like
those are the big things I
conversion rates are,
look
right? Are
at.
those
I
kind of the
also like to
metrics you
obviously
look
look at
at with your
schedule
team?
utilization because it's like if I introduce somebody new and I've got a drop in schedule utilization, that's going to be a big red flag,
Yep.
right? So making sure that's staying stable. Total evaluations from a week is stable. I mean those and increasing, right? Especially when we've got somebody
Yeah.
new, who's just crushing that
Yeah.
side of things. Those are the big like indicators I like to look at. I don't know. Are there other things you like to look at from a scheduling standpoint on some of those?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. You
Yeah,
want to
show up
know
rate's
your
huge.
schedule, your schedulization. You want to know whether they're showing up, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, your show up rate. Are they showing up 95% or 50%, right? And yeah, for sure, like, like, but on the
Yeah.
top of the funnel, like, I like to know, like, hey, what is your answer rates, right? Are you answering 95% of the phone calls, and what is the conversion rates,
Right.
are they at that 80% that you talked about, Chris, earlier, or is it the 60? Because that, if you're spending all this money on paid ads or doctor marketing, whatever you want to do, those numbers
Absolutely.
have a
Yeah.
big
20%
impact
drop in that's
on
going
what your
to
cost per lead or
significantly
cost per
increase your cost
conversion
per
is going to
lead.
be.
And now you're having to spend twice as much money on ad spend. Well, maybe not twice, but you're going to have to spend more money on ads to get the same result, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But I like this idea. Like you're in essence, you're saying all the new patient calls, whether inbound or outbound, that gets stripped out to call it a clinician
Yes.
salesperson, and then the front desk could just focus on patient experience or whatever you need to onboard, make sure like the schedules are booked, collect the
Yeah.
money, make sure they walk out like super happy and get them to like do a
Yeah,
Google
yeah,
review and
exactly,
then make sure
exactly.
they
Because
do some
otherwise, what do
loans
most
and
other
modules
clinics
and
do,
stuff, right?
right? Their
You know
front
what I
desk
mean?
is client experience, plus they're trying to close a new person on the
Yeah.
phone, plus they've got referrals coming in, and oh yeah, I got to do the laundry,
Yeah.
and oh yeah, I got to sign for the UPS package that just came in. It's like now your front desk, now you have turnover at the front desk because of that too, right? They get miserable from wearing 1,000 hats.
Well, it's overwhelming, right? And so, I'm just gonna assume, and you could share that or you don't, but like I'm gonna assume that these clinicians who are in the sales role, they are
Yeah, typically,
incentivized on a
ultimately, I
commission or
let the
bonus
practice owner
structure to like
dictate
do the
what the
conversion
exact
rates,
pay should
So
look like. Commissions tends to work pretty well in this case. I've got some folks who don't
okay,
love that if they've got super low reimbursement rates or something like that. That's
yeah,
fine, but I do like to incentivize on that because you get slow during the
yeah,
holiday season for whatever reason, or you mess up your Facebook ads, and that's what this person was doing. You don't want to have a sunk cost
yeah,
of
yeah,
several $1,000s and no outbound to be had.
yeah. And what's your recommended compensation plan that you
Yeah,
think
I mean, it's
a
going to
practice
vary
owner
from
should
region to
have, like,
region,
to pay someone
the
to do
level of
something?
talent that you have, but I like some type of base, call it 800, 1500, give or take, depending on what kind of task you have them doing, and then pay them. I've seen it as low as $20 per conversion, and I've seen it as high as $50
Yeah,
per conversion for some really high touch point, high end practices. We've got a couple functional med practices we
yeah,
worked with, and that's where they tend to fall is in that higher end. Yeah, super
yeah.
fair.
I think that's way more than fair, right? And you'll know, right? Yeah, yeah. And then like, Yeah, but I'm not sure about the outbound referrals because that's a lot of phone calls to make, right? Like if you're
Yeah.
gonna like out of network, sorry, in
Yeah.
network
Different
practice where
story.
like you're just
Those are,
getting
yeah, you got to play a different game at that point. You're like,
that's probably like a
wait a
different story,
second,
right?
these are already referrals. They're warm. I just got to get them on. Yeah, you don't want to be doing that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And what would you say is the biggest mistakes that usually happens on the first phone call that most practices have,
It's the
like
same problem. Yeah.
with that patient, whether it's cash or in network, it's the same problem. You would treat it the same, right? So I don't care whether it's cash or in network or out of network, you know, to
Same
get the
conversation, right?
full like commitment of
I would say
primary
the
care
big
again,
thing
just to always
is
still
like
the same
we make
conversation.
it more about us and less about the patient, right? I think so often you pick up the phone and it's oh yeah, when do you want to get scheduled? Yeah, okay, what insurance do you have? Yep, so here's what the eval looks like, and like we just ramble on about what we can do, and we don't ever ask like, what's your name? What's your story? Like, what the hell do you want to get back to doing? And so often it's just this word vomit. And then, oh, well, do you take my insurance? And then we just try to like defend ourselves as to why we're out of network. And it's like, these people don't even know if this is the right place or now is the right time to solve their problem. They just reached out. Maybe they saw it online, or maybe their friend told them, or maybe their doctor told them. And it's like, if I can like find out if now's the right time and this is the right
Yeah,
place
yeah.
by getting their story and then telling them what we do on the back end of that, then yeah, then it's a no-brainer, right? But too often we just word vomit, and that's a big, very transactional.
Yeah. Word vomit and it's transactional, right? It's like what is give
Yeah,
me your card, let's
you're
talk
just like,
about your
hey, you want my
insurance,
bank account
blah
number
blah
too? Like, what is
blah,
this,
right?
bro?
Like what's your number? Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, for sure. I
So it
mean, I
doesn't really
think
sound like sales
definitely
when you talk like that,
you would
Chris.
talk to any of like front desk people. They're like, yeah, I don't do sales, but at the end of the day, they are still convincing somebody to come in and see them. Sometimes they're just a hell of a lot warmer, and it's a yeah, that is
Come in
that's a
and I give
hefty
you two
sale.
thousand
Or you don't
dollars,
even
two
know
hundred
if the
twenty five
person you're
bucks per
talking to,
visit.
for all you know, they may have a high deductible, and if they didn't know that, and then they walked into the clinic and they thought, oh yeah, they're going to take my insurance, and then now you're hitting them with that estimated bill of yeah, you're probably going to be paying $1,500 out of pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, if you did a crappy phone call, like they're going to be like, I'm good, no thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. No, that is
Way too often. I
that's
mean,
interesting.
yeah, go ahead.
No,
I said
yeah, I was just
I
kidding.
secret call some
Oh,
clinics
okay.
sometimes just to like
What's
fill
that?
it out, see what they're
Go
doing,
ahead, you're
and
about
it's a mess, man. Like it truly is. I was just like, wow, I left that 5 minute conversation. I was just like, I don't know, like the person on the other end, they just sounded unsure and uncertain, and like, I mean, I had somebody like you could clearly hear them like ruffling through papers to tell me like what the cost of their session was. I was like, dang, that's bad.
yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
So,
let's try to break
so
down the
what should
walls
they
and the
say on the
barriers
first
as
call then,
quickly as
Chris?
possible, and like let's get this person's name, and like I just want to learn a little bit more about you, right? Like what is it that has you reaching out? Like be open ended. I think too often folks like try to be very precise, name, phone number, insurance. It's very very sterile, right? Let's start with an open ended conversation and at least get this person talking and communicating with me, and telling me ultimately what they want to get back to doing. It's like because I think too often we think it's just about pain, right? Oh, I have shoulder pain. My doc told me to come see you. But it's like, look, you went and saw your doctor for a reason that's beyond just shoulder pain. It's like that shoulder pain is impacting your life in some capacity beyond just that, whether it's, hey, it's preventing you from working out, and, your workout's your stress relief, and now you're a pissed off dude because you can't work out, right? Like being able to dig into someone's purpose for calling beyond just pain. That's why people freaking deal with any kind of pain that you name for 10 years. You're like, wow, you've been in pain 10 years? Like, what's changed all of a sudden? Like, why are you reaching out now? And if we can understand that, now it's a moot point for somebody to want to come in. It seems silly for them not to come in because we've expanded on that level of the conversation. So it's, yeah, dude. If you have a 7 to 10 minute phone
Make
conversation with
connection
somebody
right
and
now,
you're
right?
telling them about your like why you like to work out or why you want to be able to get rid of your shoulder pain so that you can show up and go to work every day without having to worry about it, it's like Yeah, dude, like you're connected with somebody. Now I'm much more inclined to have a relationship with whoever it is I'm talking to and the clinic that I'm ultimately going to work with. And now they're warmed up and these people are ready to come in at that point, and stay for an entire plan of care.
Yeah. Wow. And then what happens next? And how does that
Yeah, for sure.
conversation turn
Look, you got
into
to be transparent. I think
transactional?
that's the
Where
biggest
ultimately
thing.
you want
Like,
to like book them in, right? So
let's get them bought in. Now's the right time. This is the right place to get help with. Okay. Once that happens, then now let's get them on the schedule, and then let's be transparent. Hey, here's the cost of our session. Here's exactly what it looks like to work with us. If your insurance base is, hey, who's your insurance through? We'll run your benefits. We'll let you know what that looks like. And you give them the lay of the land, what exactly it looks like. Or, for us, we're super transparent. Hey, the cost of our sessions are $225. We are an out of network provider with insurance. But at the end of the day, we can provide you a super bill if that's something that you want. But all of our folks have insurance. They just choose not to use it because they're going to be able to get a superior quality care with us, right? And we're just super transparent. And hey, yeah, exactly. Like that's just it. Like,
I love that
yeah,
last line you
everybody has
said.
insurance.
That
They
was
just
amazing,
don't want to
right?
use it, because they know we're going to give a crap about them.
Yeah, 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 100%. And so these people who are like, let's say like in network, right? And they're calling, right? Whether inbound or outbound, what do you say is a realistic conversion rate of someone who like is calling
Yeah,
and their
much
mindset
much
is like, I
harder
want
for
to use my
sure.
insurance and convert it into like
Yeah, I
cash?
mean, I think realistically, you're probably looking at 60-70% for some of these people, especially if you can have the right.
You think that high? You think you could get 60% of the people who have this mindset is like, hey, I don't want to pay out of pocket. I just
Well, I mean,
want
like
to use my
I mean, the
insurance. You
people who
think you
call our
convert
clinic, it's
60% of
exactly
them
that, right?
into
Like I
cash?
mean, so often the conversation starts. Yeah, I was hoping to, I found you guys online. Uh, yeah,
Yeah. But this is a little different because like your
yeah. I
clinic
mean, it
or
doesn't
your
say that
website, it's
explicitly
clear that
online
you're
though.
out of network and you're cash. So like wouldn't you say that
Yeah, I
most of
mean,
the
certainly
qualified
maybe a
leads
little bit
coming in
more, but like,
are
I mean,
kind
it
of
doesn't say
like
we're cash.
segmented
It
out
doesn't say we
already,
accept
right? Or
insurance. It
no?
doesn't say we're out of network. Like our cost isn't listed on our website. I mean, it certainly like we have a button that literally says you can inquire
Okay.
about our cost, but like it doesn't
Okay.
explicitly say on there. It's the same reason
Okay.
that a lot of these clinics are, like we've had some clinics
Okay.
hire us that are primarily in network, and then like they're like, hey, I'm sick of United's nonsense, so like I want to go out of network with them, but I don't know how to have a conversation with them. So yeah, certainly now at that point, let's still
Yeah.
carry the same phone conversation.
Yeah.
And then let's let them know. I mean, there's a lot of clinics doing out of network billing as well with people. It's like that's technically out of net. I mean, you're out of network. They're just having a conversation saying, hey, I'm going to at least get some coverage for you. They're just taking the second step than we are.
Yeah.
Now, there are some areas like Virginia, like DC area, definitely tougher out
Yeah.
there. A lot of federal plans. Yeah, a lot of federal plans. Little harder game out
Yeah.
there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, man. I like digging in
This is
there, and you've got
fascinating.
some
I
like
love
experience
this.
in the
I'm
space
learning
too,
new
so it's
things
kind of
about
fun
what
for
you
me
do
to
too.
like
So
pick someone else's brain on some of this stuff too.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
for sure, man.
So
Yeah, give us
tell me,
you
so
can check
Chris,
us
how
out
do
on
people find out more
go to
about
our
you and what
website,
you do?
virtualrefreshco.com. You can feel free to check out our Instagram page. We post a ton of content on there, instagram.com/virtual refresh. And yeah, or feel free to shoot me an email, chris at virtualrefreshco.com. Open book, and yeah, happy to yeah, help you guys out any way I can.
I love it. I love it. And typically, how long does it take for you to train like someone? If I'm a clinic and I want to do this, like how long will it take
Yeah,
for
for
you to
sure. So
actually
going to
put
depend
someone
on
in
how
place to
quickly
start
you can get
handling
me
like
like pay
my
structure and like
leads?
logins, barring that you don't have any of that. I mean, I've got people ready to go. Like we keep a constant pipeline. So like if you said, "Hey, I'm ready to go today," like I've seen people get they're starting to interview our admins as quick as a week. which is pretty cool. If they're a little slower and they don't have some of the things they need, then hey, maybe it takes 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
But usually interviewing within a week, and then usually I like to have them in sometime because they're already trained. Hey, let's get them in and start getting some outbound or inbound going. Usually the following week if available.
Right. Yeah. Do you also train like
No,
your
I like
existing
to do
front desk admin,
both.
or
Yeah, I
or
like
you
to
like
do
you prefer
both. I
not
mean,
to and just
I
use
got some folks that want to take one of our
use
remote admins
yeah,
and want me to train their front desk at the same time. That's a great process, right? Because now everybody's getting on the same page. The conversation's the same from the front to the back.
yeah,
And I like doing both. I got some people that are just like, hey, I have zero interest in ever having a remote admin. All
cool.
right, that's cool. No worries. Well, great. Let's get what's not working as well as it needs to, and then
Yeah.
let's fix the bottleneck with your current existing front desk staff. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's cool. That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming to the show, Chris, and everyone
Thanks, man.
check out Chris with the links that he just shared with, right? So